Welcome back to watching The World Today on Channels Television. Now, after less than 2 years as America's Defense Secretary, Chuck Hagel is set to resign. The 68-year-old is a Vietnam War and veteran and former senator, and he became Defense Secretary back in 2013. He's reportedly stepping down amid a shift in U.S. military strategy to fight the Islamic State, that's ISIS. He's expected to stay on as secretary until his successor is confirmed. Mr. Barack Obama, the President of the United States, is expected to announce his resignation later today. Now we shift our attention to health matters now, particularly in Africa. We're still keeping our eye on the Ebola virus disease crisis, and thankfully we have a bit of good news today. The World Health Organization says the Ebola outbreak is now stable in Guinea, where the latest crisis began. WHO coordinator says there are still some flare-ups in the southeast, but things are improving in other prefectures. More than 5,400 people have died in the latest outbreak, with Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia being the worst hit. Meanwhile, the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the outbreak could be ended by mid-2015 if the world speeds up its response. But he warned that although the rate of new cases was slowing down in parts of West Africa, Mali, where 6 people have died and a 7th case have been reported, is now of deep concern. For more information on what's happening concerning the Ebola virus disease in Mali, I'm now being joined live from the country by Anne Look. Anne, thank you so much for joining us on The World Today.
Hi, good evening.
Now, can you give us an update on what's happening concerning the virus in Mali?
Yeah, I mean, Mali's still, they sprang into action when they did find out eventually about this Ghanaian man who had come to Bamako for treatment. That's kind of the source of this mini outbreak we're experiencing right now. They're doing aggressive contact tracing, ramping up border security. The country has not closed its borders, but is trying to keep an eye and watch for any sick people that might be coming over. Basically employing the same methods that Nigeria used to kind of snuff out its Ebola outbreak.
Now, and how did the health workers in Mali get the diagnosis for the imam who died wrong from Ebola back in Bamako?
They heard about it from the WHO in Guinea, actually. The man came to Bamako at the end of October, checked into a clinic, died 2 days later. His body was washed at a mosque, taken back to Guinea, and buried. 2 weeks later, the WHO in Guinea was investigating other cases in the man's family, and that's how they figured it out, that he had come to Bamako.
Now, finally, Anne, before I let you go, based on the lapses in the country's healthcare system, are we looking at a potential repeat of what happened in Sierra Leone and Liberia surfacing in Mali as well?
I've been told that that's a bit dramatic, but people are worried. What does it mean that this man was able to make it to Bamako, that he went untested in a clinic? Are health workers really paying attention? And also B, as Malian health workers are monitoring all those hundreds of contacts that could have been exposed, due to that one case, people are wondering, did they get everyone? Are they monitoring everyone? Has anyone slipped through the cracks? So, it's very much a wait and see moment right now here.
The VOA's Anne Look, thank you so much for your time, and since you're in Mali, we hope you do take good care of yourself. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Now, in other news, at least 17 people have died and 18 others are missing in southern Morocco after heavy rain and floods struck over the weekend, destroying houses, vehicles, as well as roads. Flooding, which is quite common in the mostly arid desert region at this time of the year, has in the past triggered violent protests by local people angered by what they see as a tardy or ineffective official response. Morocco's King Mohammed has given orders to the authorities to take all necessary emergency measures needed to help and support victims of the floods. In other news, a local airport has been closed and thousands evacuated in the Cape Verde Islands after the Pico de Fogo volcano erupted. A large plume of smoke was seen rising from the volcano, which began erupting yesterday. It's the very first time the volcano on the island of Fogo has erupted since 1995. The Cape Verde government said the civil protection workers and military were being sent to Fogo to help and there have been no reports of casualties, thankfully. Now to some lighter news. Although it's an unusual sight, but it's a sight to behold, a line of classic and vintage cars rolled into Pakistan's capital. Around 50 vintage Alfa Romeos, Austin Healey's, Mini Coopers, Mercedes, BMWs, Ford, Thunderbirds, Mustangs, Chevrolets, Cadillacs, Fiats and Buicks, among others, drove through the streets of Islamabad. The cars, many of which date back to the 1940s to the 60s, began their journey in the southern port city of Karachi on November the 12th as part of the 5th Vintage and Classic Car Club of Pakistan cross-country. They drove across the country, covering a distance of around 1,483 kilometers, and that's approximately 921 miles, to finish at Peshawar on November the 22nd. Karachi businessman Karim Chapra, who has been collecting cars for 14 years, owns 13 of the vintage cars, including a 1924 silver ghost Rolls-Royce in which Pakistan's founder, Quaid Aizam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, traveled for the first Independence Day parade of the country on August 14, 1947. Chapra said the aim of the rally was to provide an opportunity for people to showcase their cars.
पेशावर ये जगह पे हम कार शो सारे करते रहते हैं.
The VCCCP has organized vintage monitoring events for its members for the past 12 years in Karachi. In this year's rally, some of the oldest four-wheelers include a 1947 Buick, a 1949 MGY, a 1954 Chevrolet, and a 1957 Austin Healey. One VCCCP member said it was not just about beautiful vintage cars, but also that they are still in good condition.
जो सिर्फ cosmetically ठीक नहीं है, बल्कि mechanically भी बिल्कुल ठीक है, जो कि ये drive करती है.
VCCCP President Munshin Ikram told reporters they have been asking successive governments to allow the import of 50-year-old cars so that enthusiasts could purchase cars from abroad. But so far, they have not received a favorable response. I definitely wouldn't mind one or two vintage cars. That should fetch a nice sum of money. That's it on The World Today. Many thanks for watching. I'm Cynthia Are.